Welcome back to another Pokemon Slab Sunday, where once a month we go through a ton of graded cards so we can see what's going up and see what's going down. And we are going to do a little giveaway today. All you have to do is make sure you subscribe. You got to hit that notification bell. You got to hit that like, and then you have to answer the question of the day. So for today's question, what is the best Pokemon card you guys have ever pulled? This is what we're giving away today. Beautiful Zora V-Star. And I do have to announce the winner from last Sunday's giveaway, where we have two winners, one for a subscriber and one for a member. The subscriber is at the Wisco Kid, and the member is at Mean Ram Yun. So just shoot me an email, hit me up on Instagram, and I'll get those cards sent out to you. And we do have to give a big thanks for our video sponsor real quick, and that is Collectr. This app is the best of the best when it comes to tracking your collection. No other app even compares. I have tried every single one of them, and they're always trying to improve by adding new cards, boxes, and features. So let us know down below if there's anything you want them to fix or work on or add. And they also do more giveaways than anyone in this entire hobby, so make sure you guys are following them on all their socials, because the giveaways are crazy. They also have a really good website that I've been using a ton. So definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. And of course, if you're going to grade through PSA for your very first time, you can click my link in the description, use code BEARD25, and you'll receive $25 off your very first submission, which is basically a free graded card. And I am working on getting a tag and CGC affiliate link also. All right, starting off with Ascended Heroes. As you guys know, brand new set. So we're going to be checking on 130 point because there isn't that many PSA 10 sales out there yet. So we got the Mega Attack Rare Gengar Full Art for $520 in a 10. Got the Full Art Dragonite in a 10 for $320. Got the Mimikyu for $270 in a 10. Pikachu in the Forest, $24.25. Got another Mega Attack Rare Gengar for $530. We got the Mega Diancie SIR for $202 only. The Pikachu, $1,150. The Jungle Pikachu, $23.90. So people definitely like the Jungle Pikachu more than the Pikachu. Another Mimikyu for $305. We got the Dragonite SIR for $2,200. Got the Psyduck IR for $640. Mewtwo SIR for $1,300. Got the Feraligatr SIR for $620. Got the Enzoroark for $425. And the Psyduck for $695. So yeah, not a ton of PSA 10 sales for Ascended Heroes yet. We should have a lot more in the next couple weeks. Next, we have the Mega Charizard X. We're actually not going to be checking this card right now. We're going to be checking it at the very end in PSA, BGS, CGC, and tag, and kind of comparing all the prices. So we have the gold Mega Charizard X right here. We do have an eBay sale here at $34.75. Otherwise, we got one a couple days ago at $29.50. I did have to record this on Friday. I hate doing that. I normally like recording it the day before, but I'm going to be at a card show, so I'll have zero time. And we got a couple PSA 9 sales for $401 and $429. Most of the raw sales are between $300 to $400 for this gold Charizard. Next, we have the gold Mega Lucario. Last sold in a 10, $840, $820, $800. PSA 9 at $275 and $285. You can basically just assume the PSA 9 price is very close to the raw price. And here's the gold Mega Gardevoir. Last sold in a 10, $640, $650. And PSA 9 at about $255. And here's the Mega Gardevoir SIR. Last sold in a 10, $369, $361, and $370. Basically completely leveling out now. Next, we have the Mega Lucario SIR, also leveling out. Last sold $350 and $360. So basically the same price. And we have the Mega Venusaur. So underrated in my opinion, but last sold $243, $285, and $227. I just love how it actually connects with the Ivysaur and the Venusaur. Next, we have the red Victini from Black Bolt. Last sold in a 10, $900. We got to sell at $871, $899, and we got a PSA 9 at $371. This card is also just completely leveled out for the last 3-4 months now. And we have the black Zekrom Full Art coming up a little bit. This card was at $1,700, dropped down to $700. Now last sold $930, $822. And $860. It says a pop of $4,000 in a 10, $3,200 in a 9. And here is the actual Zekrom SIR from Black Bolt. Sorry if my computer's a little slow. I got like 80 pages opened. So this card is at $650 in a 10, and it just kind of keeps dropping. Now last sold $345, $325, and $350. It says a pop of $4,900 in a 10, $2,500 in a 9. And the Seismitoad. This is a pop of only $799 in a 10, $2,800 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, $829, $775. And we got a PSA 9 at $130 and $140. Very low pop on all of the illustration rares from Black Bolt and White Flare. Next, we have the red Victini from White Flare. It's a pop of $1,800 in a 10, $1,500 in a 9. So that $1,500 dropped down about $775. Now last sold $925 and $950. And then we have the White Reshiram Full Art from White Flare. This is a pop of 4,300 in a 10, 2,400 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, 741, 740, and 730. And this card's going up a little bit. It got down to about $670. And here is the SIR, 3,300 in a 10, 2,300 in a 9. Completely leveling out. We got a sale now at 340 and 350. And here is a Team Rockets Mewtwo from Destined Rivals. This has a pop of 9,600 in a 10, 4,700 in a 9. This card got up to $1,975, dropped down to $1,000, and now last sold $1,249, $1,250. We got a bunch of PSA 9s around $500. And the new Mewtwo just dropped below $300 raw. I could definitely see that new Mewtwo shooting back up in price, to be honest. Next, we have the Cynthia's Garchomp from Destined. This has a pop of 6,700 in a 10, 2,800 in a 9. Was all the way at about $1,000. Now last sold $460, $465, $455. Not too bad. Still pretty expensive, but not terrible. And then we have the Ethan's Hut from Destined. This was all the way at $780. Now last sold $398. And it looks like it got down to about $370, so just up a tiny bit. Another really cool card. And we have the Lillie's Clefairy from Journey Together. This has a pop of 4,300 in a 10, 7,500 in a 9. It's got up to $755. Now last sold $450. And we have the Umbreon EX from Prismatic Evolutions. This card just keeps kind of going up and down, up and down. This is a pop of 4,600 in a 10, 7,700 in a 9. Was at 4,500, dropped down to 2,500, and now kind of climbing up again. Last sold 4,180, 4,250. One crazy high sale at 8,000. Oh, it has the NBA Gold Diamond. I'm not a fan of those. It's a different company that literally grades the card again in the grade, which to me is just ridiculous. I would never pay for one of those diamond cards. But the rest of the sales are at about 4K, 4,200. Next, we have the Sylveon from Prismatic Evolutions. This has a pop of 2,700 in a 10, 5,200 in a 9. So it's at 1,800, dropped down about 900. Now last sold 1,000, 1,050. One sale at 951 right here. And I added the Jolteon since this is the cheapest one out of all the evolutions besides Eevee. This has a pop of 2,300 in a 10, 4,100 in a 9. This card was at about $740. Now last sold $492, $495, and $500. Next, we have the Surging Sparks Pikachu. Was at $1,200 in a 10. Last sold $850 and $880. This has a pop of $8,100 in a 10 and $12,000 in a 9. Next, of course, we got the Latias from Surging. This was at $748 in a 10. Now last sold $460, $430. So the pop of $5,500 in a 10, $8,700 in a 9. And the Milotic from Surging Sparks. This was at $393. Now last sold $244, $240, $273, $237. So that's a pop of $4,600 in a 10, $6,500 in a 9. And we have the Squirtle from Stellar Crown. This was at $341, dropped down to $239. Now last sold $290. It says $185, but that's crazy low. The other sales at $300. I can see these cards starting to go crazy again, especially with $151 going wild. I think these cards could definitely follow. And we have the Stellar Crown. These cards have very high pops. The Squirtle has a pop of 13,000 in a 10, 17,000 in a 9. And Bulbasaur, right around the same thing. Bulbasaur was at $300. Now that's still $245 and $211. Next, we have the Greninja EX from Twilight with a pop of 9,000 in a 10, 8,700 in a 9. This was at $1,120. Dropped down to $728. Now that's sold $750, $805, $850. And the Eevee from Twilight was at $300 in a 10. Dropped down to $200, and now last sold $212, $250, so just up a little bit. This is a pop of $11,000 in a 10, $13,000 in a 9. And we got a couple big boys here. The Bubble Mew EX with a pop of $15,000 in a 10, $22,000 in a 9. This was at about $2,000. Dropped down to $1,400. Now last sold $2,000. And we have the Charizard EX from Paldean Fates. Looks like the same exact graph. This was at $877. Dropped down to $563. Now last sold $700. This is a pop of $15,000 in a 10, $16,000 in a 9. Next, we have the Gardevoir EX from Paldean Fates. Was at 430, dropped down to 270. Now that's sold 305, 285, so just up a little bit. And has a pop of about 8,710 and 8,909. It's about a 50-50 chance. Next, we have the Groudon from Paradox Rift. Was at $635 and a 10. Now that's sold 400, 397, and 360. Says a pop of 5,510, 8,100, and a 9. Next, we have some 151 cards. If you guys did not know, 151 went absolutely crazy the other day to where cards were literally doubling or tripling. I even made an emergency market update video on Thursday where I posted 2 videos in one day because the cards were just going insane. So we have the Charizard X. This card is selling for $1,200 in a PSA 10. And if we jump to 130 point now, we got a sale at $1,650, $1,700. I mean, that's quite the jump, literally just in a couple days. And then too, if we go back, we check the Blastoise. Has a ton of crazy sales now. And this is now a $200 something raw card when it was literally $60 to $80 forever. But yeah, PSA 10, it was about a $400 card, $400 or $500 card. Now last sold $799, $900, $800, $850. So just so you guys know, you still might be able to find a lot of these cards for a really, really good deal because it went up so fast that not every single card shop owner or whoever's selling cards can keep up with this stuff. And same thing too, if you are a vendor, you got to keep up on these prices. Otherwise, you could lose a lot of money and sell this Blastoise for $70 when, we got sales between $125 to $200 for this card now, raw. And no joke, it's like every card is going up in price. It's not just the SIRs. Charmander and Squirtle, we got a ton of sales now, over $100 raw. We're going to jump to 130 point and check out some new sales. So the Blastoise at $850. Pink Mew $700. Got the Charmander now at $700 and a 10. Venusaur at $629. Alakazam still pretty cheap, $320. And that card is going up to Charmeleon $480, Pikachu $450. And here's the thing, these cards are actually really tough to grade. They have some of the lowest pop reports in all of the Scarlet and Violet era for being some of the most graded cards. So I can honestly see a world where Pikachu is an $800, $900, or $1,000 card in a PSA 10. Like, it is possible. Dragonair, still only $190. Not too bad. Psyduck, $259. But I'm telling you, all these cards will just keep going up this weekend just because the raw went so crazy. All right, next, we have the Charizard EX from Obsidian Flames. This has a pop of 12,000 in a 10, 26,000 in a 9. This was at $711, dropped down to $456. And now less sold $545. Next, we have the Ninetales from Obsidian. Very low pop on this card and definitely one of the best IRs we've ever gotten. 4,500 in a 10 and almost 11,000 in a 9. This is at $340. Now less sold $205. This is a great time to pick this card up. Next, we have the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved. This was at $2,400 in a 10, dropped down to $1,800. Going back up right now, last sold 29, 25, 28, and another one at 28. Another very tough card to grade, 3,800 in a 10 and about 12,000 in a 9. Next, we have the Van Gogh Pikachu with gray felt hat, 46,000 in a 10 and 48,000 in a 9. So it's at 2,400. Dropped down to 1,359. Now last sold 2,550, 3K, 26, and 2,675. So going right back up in price. It's like the card is done every single time. Next, we have the Snorlax Pokemon Center promo. Now these promos are going to start going crazy too because the sealed products are about to go super crazy for 151. So this was at $1,400 in a 10, and now last sold $1,100. Pretty low pop though, $1,500 in a 10, $3,300 in a 9. Next, we have the Charmander Pokemon Center promo. Very low pop, $663 in a 10, $3,300 in a 9. Last sold for this card in a 10 is $2,600, and we had sales at $3,700 for this card. Next, we have the Pikachu. This is the Pokemon Center promo from Paldea Evolved, where it has the other starters. It's a pop of $587 in a 10, $1,800 in a 9. This card was at $1,850. Now last sold $1,650 and $1,600. Next, we have the Greninja EX SIR promo. This was at $550, dropped down to $275. Now last sold $369 and $360. And we got another sale of $355. And we also have the Kingdra, which I like so much more. The art is so much better. This is at $371. Dropped down to $200. Now last sold $265. Next, we have the Pink Mew EX SIR promo. So they pop off 10,000 in a 10, 28,000 in a 9, 10,000 in an 8. So actually very tough to grade. This is at $770 and now last sold $670. And it's on the rise again. Next, we have the Mewtwo Black Star promo from the UPC also. It says they pop off 7,300 in a 10, 15,000 in a 9. This is at 530, dropped down to 300. Now last sold 360. And it went from about $30 to $40 in the last couple weeks. So the PSA 10s should start moving quickly also. Next, we have the Giratina V-Star. This is the biggest card in Crown Zenith. This has a pop of 22,000 in a 10, 13,000 in a 9. Very easy to grade. This is at $574 in a 10. Now last sold $415, $385, and $400. Next, we have the Mewtwo from Crown Zenith. This has a pop of 23,000 in a 10, 14,000 in a 9. Was at $535, dropped down to $330, and now last sold $402 and $385. Next, we have the Lugia V from Silver Tempest. Has a pop of 23,000 in a 10, 14,000 in a 9. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of cards from the Sword and Shield era were very easy to grade, have very high pops, especially compared to some of the SIRs and IRs we're getting for the Scarlet and Violet era and Mega Evolution era. I think there's a lot better pickups sometimes in the Scarlet and Violet era just because of that. So this was at $1,225 in a 10, dropped down to $839, now last sold $975. We got one at $1,083. Next, we have the Rayquaza VMAX. This is the Trainer Gallery, also from Silver Tempest, which is basically the most expensive Trainer Gallery card along with Stormy. This was at $382 in a 10, now last sold $237 and $217. So they pop up 14,755 in a 10 and 3,500 in a 9. Next, we have the Giratina V alternate art with a pop of 9,100 in a 10 and 9,000 in a 9. Again, about 50-50. This was at $2,400, dropped down to $1,800, now last sold $2K, $2,200 and $2,100. Next, we have the Pikachu VMAX Trainer Gallery from Lost Origin. Lost Origin has such a good Trainer Gallery. So this is a pop of 10,000 in a 10, 4,100 in a 9. This is at $318, dropped down to $182, now last sold $205 and $208. And here's the Pikachu V Trainer Gallery. This was at $348 in a 10, now last sold $275 and $300. Next, we have the non-textured Gengar Trainer Gallery from Lost Origin. These cards are much tougher to grade, $4,800 in a 10, 10,000 in a 9. This is at $464, dropped down to $291, and now last sold $380 and $400, so went right back up in price. And they also have the Sleepy Pikachu Trainer Gallery. This is a pop of 3,600 in a 10, 8,000 in a 9. Definitely one of the toughest to grade modern Pikachus that we probably have. This was at $436 in a 10, and coming up a little bit. Now last sold $329, $315. It got down to about $280. Next, the Machamp V from Astral Radiance. This is a pop of 5,100 in a 10, 3,400 in a 9. So it's at $500. Now that's sold $320, $311, and $305. And the Charizard V from Brilliant Stars. I still feel like this card is just so underrated. 15,000 in a 10, 11,000 in a 9. This is at $900 in a 10. Now that's sold $679, $685, and $709. And we have the Gengar V Max from Fusion Strike with a pop of 13,498 in a 10 and 8,800 in a 9. This card was at $2,200, dropped down to $1,569. Now last sold $2,000, $1,925. That's why I always say it really does pay to buy cards during these dips, because a lot of times they do go right back up in price. Next, we have the Espeon VMAX from Fusion Strike. This has a pop of 11,000 in a 10, 6,000 in a 9. Was at $760. Now that's sold $552. And we have some Celebrations cards. We have the Charizard Classic Collection. This has a pop of 32,000 in a 10, 18,000 in a 9. This card was at $384 not too long ago, and now last sold $560, $550, $535, $672. So definitely going up in price. And here is the Umbreon Gold Star from Celebrations. This is at $461 in a 10, dropped down to $257. Now last sold $309, $319. And this is a pop of 16,000 in a 10, 11,000 in a 9. Next, we have the Shining Magikarp from Celebrations. This is a pop of 9,400 in a 10, 4,100 in a 9. This was at $250 in a 10, got down to $96. Now that's sold $142, $130, $139. And with the 30th anniversary right around the corner, I can see this card shooting back up to $200-something. Next, we have Evolving Skies. We'll be checking on a couple of these cards. Of course, the Moonbreon. Always got to check the big boy. So this has a pop of 20,000 in a 10, 5,700 in a 9. This was at $3,700 in October. Dropped down to $3K in December. Now last sold 3,700, 3,500. So yet again, if you would have bought during the dip, could have made quick $500. Next, we will, of course, check the Rayquaza VMAX, and we're definitely going to be checking the Dragonite. So the Rayquaza has a pop of about 14,000 in a 10, 4,300 in a 9. This was at 1,900. Now dropped to about 1,300, and now last sold 1,550 and 1,650. Next, we have the Dragonite V, and then we'll probably check the Umbreon V next, because that card always has some interesting sales. So the Dragonite V with a pop of 9,800 in a 10, 7,100 in a 9. This was at $1,270 in a 10. Dropped down to $803. Now last sold $899, $1,023, and $900. And got to check the Umbreon V. So it says raw $297. This card was at like $500 raw not too long ago. It says a pop of 7,900 in a 10 and 7,200 in a 9. This is at $1,150 in a 10. Dropped down to $718. Now last sold $900, $880, and $831. All right, now we're jumping to Chilling Reign. We got the Blaziken VMAX with a pop of 6,600 in a 10 and 2,200 in a 9. This was at $1,200 in a 10. Now last sold $695 and $699, so almost half price. And we have the Galarian Moltres V from Chilling. This is a pop of 6,800 in a 10, 3,700 in a 9, and this was at $630. Now last sold $359, $399, and $325. And we also have the Sleepy Tyranitar with a pop of 6,400 in a 10, 4,800 in a 9. This is at $813. Now last sold $610. That's a crazy low sale. The other one is at $633 and $608. Next, we have the Vaporeon V Black Star promo. This is just the V, not the VMAX. This is a pop of 1,300 in a 10, 5,100 in a 9, so very tough to grade. One of the main reasons why I love promos, they're always, very tough to grade. So this card was at 1,150 in a 10. Says it dropped down to 400, but I don't remember it quite dropping that low. But now last sold $899 and $900. And here is the VMAX. Looks like it's much easier to grade. 4,100 in a 10, 7,100 in a 9. This is at $1,100, and it's been slowly coming down in price. And now last sold, we do have a PSA 10 up here at $588. Next, we have the Gold Pikachu V. This is from the Celebrations UPC, and this thing's starting to go up in price. This is at $400 in a 10. Now last sold $799 and $850. So getting very expensive. You got to think the box is very expensive. It is Pikachu. It's 25th anniversary and it's gold. Not everybody loves gold, but I think this is definitely one of the coolest promos we've gotten. Next, another really cool promo from the Sword and Shield era. This is number 20 for the promos, and I love the cards that have the starters in there because they really remind me of Festas, which are some of the most expensive cards in Pokemon. This has a pop of 2,700 in a 10, 3,800 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, $399, and another one at $379. I actually am getting a couple of these boxes. I have a buddy who has a few that is looking to get rid of them, so I'm going to pick them up. So that way, I got the original boxes that the promos come in. But all right, now it is time to check out the new Mega Charizard X with every graded company. So here is the SIR in a PSA 10. Last sold $1,750, which was on Friday. We got an $1,800 sale on Thursday. Another one at $1,875, $1,750, $1,775. $1,770, $1,740, pretty much all at $1,700. And if we look, we had what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sales on Thursday for this card in a PSA 10. Next, we have CGC. So, of course, they have their regular CGC 10 and their Pristine 10, which are going to be completely different prices. So, here we got the basic CGC 10 sold for $1,000. Another one at $1,050, $1,100. And here we have a CGC Pristine 10, which sold for $3,000. We got another regular 10 at $1,000, $1,000. Another CGC Pristine at $2,950. So only a couple Pristines. And let's see how many of the basic 10s sell in a day. So we got one basic CGC 10 that sold on Thursday. We got 1, 2 that sold on Wednesday, And we have the one pristine that sold on that Tuesday. And the Monday before that, we just had one regular CGC sale. So they do not sell nearly as much as PSA, which does make a big difference. Next, we have tag. So we got a tag 9 here at 730. And we got another tag 10 here at 1825. Another one at 1600, 1633, 1825, 1700, 1750, 1850. Now let's see how many they actually sell. So the newest sale that we have for a tag 10 looks like it was February 18th. So that was quite a few weeks ago. And this is my point too. Yes, we can get sales just as high as PSA or higher. It's just that they take a long time to sell. You do not get a ton of sales. Let's see what the next one is. We got one that February 16th, so a couple days before. Here we had 2 on that day, 1 on that Sunday. You know, just 1 every couple days it looks like. But yeah, it's kind of weird how we haven't had one in the last few weeks for the tag 10 for the Mega Charizard. All right, and last on the list, we have BGS. So BGS has a gold 10 and a black label, which we do have a black label sale on here. So I was so excited to do this. So we got the BGS gold here that sold for $29.50. So even the gold is selling for an extra $1,000. So I do say if your card is truly flawless, you might as well send it to Beckett. You might as well give it a chance. But you got to be honest with yourself. If it's not truly flawless, might as well not even try because it is tough. And we got another gold 10 at $29.80. Another one here at $19.61. It says read description, which always makes me nervous. Another one here at $3K, $3,200, $2,150. And if you guys are buying graded cards and you're looking at other graded companies besides PSA and it says low pop, just know pretty much all of them have pretty low pops because not nearly as many people grade with them. So when they put low pop, just ignore it because like I said, they're pretty much all low pops. Looking for that black label, I know I seen one. Sold for $12,500. They had it listed at $50K, which is kind of crazy. The new Pikachu EX, the one in the forest, just sold for $16,000 in a Beckett black label, which still blows my mind. I would never pay these prices for these cards because we're definitely going to get a few more black labels here and there. It's just that first one always has a premium. And since this was in January, I could definitely see this being the first black label for this card. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, that was this month's Pokemon Slab Sunday. If you guys like this content and want to stay ahead of the market, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, my Facebook, YouTube membership, all that. You guys know what to do. You guys are the absolute best. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. If you guys want to watch my last vending video, which was a super good one, my vending videos are getting better and better. Click this one here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.